Well, welcome in once again, everybody, to what promises to be, another exciting edition of the best damn golf podcast in America, the 19th Hole Podcast for Golfers. I'm your host, Dennis Silvers. We've got a great show for you today. Why? Well, two reasons. Number one, we got a great guest for you. And number two, I'm being visited by a very dear friend of mine who you're familiar with if you watch Senior Delinquents. He's my co-host on that. He lives in Tampa, Florida. He decided to get out here and get out of the rain a little bit. He's just a great guy. He spent most of his life in television, producing, directing. He's a little bit under the weather, but he's still good to go. My great friend, Jamie McWilliams. So let's give Jamie a big round of applause and welcome here again to Las Vegas. Thanks for coming, man.
Well, thank you. But I'm more than just a little under the weather. I actually took a COVID test, and I took the new COVID test.
Okay.
Because, the old one just said you have it or you don't. The new one that I took said you have it, you don't, or you wish you had COVID.
Or you, yeah.
And I'm on the wish you had COVID. But I'm here, and I'm going to try to muscle through it.
He just got a little throat thing, but thank goodness it's nothing that he's not going to get it over pretty quick. Before we bring our guest on, let me just ask you real quickly. The President's Cup started today, and as I predicted, the Americans are just going to kick ass. They've got no problem. Davis Love against Trevor Immelman, who I don't think has much of a personality. He's not a raw guy. Great golf course at Quail Hollow in North Carolina. What do you think the outcome's going to be?
Well, it'd be. I think the most you can hope for is that it's going to be close enough that it's in doubt.
Yeah.
Because any competition that is too one-sided and seems like a foregone conclusion is just not exciting to watch.
No, I agree.
I mean, that's what golf is about.
I agree.
The drama always comes down to the last few holes.
I agree.
But the other thing, too, and I hope this comes out, that it's a chance because of the nature of the competition and because you don't have a huge field, you get to see a little bit more of the personalities of the people.
That's a good point.
And I think that in golf, that's really important. Well, actually, in any sport. Like when I was covering as a sports director, I said, I don't get the fascination of stock car driving, but I realized it wasn't just the cars, but it was the personalities of the people. And I think it's very important that in these type of things, you get to see a little bit more about, under this circumstance, how they react and how interact.
I agree. It's going to be, and plus, if it's a runaway, people aren't going to watch the last day and whatever. But anyway, last thing, Greg Norman, of course, is the CEO over at the Live Tour. We won't get into the Live Tour, but he started the Shark Shootout. He didn't even get invited to the tournament that he started because he is involved with Live. I think that sucks.
I think so too, and I just hope that it doesn't become another lawsuit because you're saying that you're utilizing my name for an event I created to promote an event that I've now been kicked out of or banned from attending.
It's horrible. It's horrible. But we could go on and on. Anyway, let me give you a little background on our special guest today. John Brown is the CEO of Great Life Golf. John launched Brown Golf Management in January 2011, became its CEO in 2017. Eventually, Brown Golf Management and Great Life Golf merged, growing it to one of the largest golf management companies in the country. John's experience in the golf industry includes 6 years with Troon Golf, in various management positions. John was instrumental as well in launching a proprietary booking engine platform called Golfback in 2020, and we're going to talk about that because that's very cool. And John graduated with a degree in finance. So without further ado, let's bring our special guest on camera, John Brown. John, welcome to the show, man. I know you're busy. I appreciate you taking time out to visit with Jamie and I today.
Great to be here. Excited to be on the podcast. And you omitted 4 years of mediocre college golf. That's on my resume as well.
I don't know how mediocre it was, but I know you do love
Pretty
golfing.
mediocre. That's why,
No, I bet you're a good player. But John, let me start it off this way. What is the commonality of the reason a golf course property would want to hire a management company?
Structure, organization, ability to deploy, an operational playbook that, delivers accountability both on your processes for driving revenue and controlling expenses, and really building a game plan that makes sense where decisions are interrelated to a business impact.
Right. Okay. And that's a lot of ground to cover. I know that management companies, through the people that I know here, obviously in Southern Nevada, especially in Las Vegas, structure their contracts either flat rate. They do a revenue share. Sometimes it's just a percentage thing. What works best for Great Life, do you think?
Well, Great Life pre-merger had a management deal that was structured off a percentage of revenue. Brown Golf had a flat fee. And
Okay.
when we're bringing the two companies together, we're evaluating the right path forward. I will say that not all management companies are created equal. And I think the most important thing is that there's transparency for the owner. They understand exactly what they're receiving and exactly what they're paying for those services. That's the most important thing for an owner.
Well, exactly. And as you know, I probably had this experience. I know Jamie knows. A lot of times, like we have one county course, we have a couple of courses that are run by the city. Management contract expires, they put out an RFP, and you always know there's going to be one or two companies that want to lowball everybody just to get in. What do you think of that? I think it's very distasteful anyway, and they usually don't do a good job if they're really, really cutting it to the bone.
Yeah, I think the distasteful part is more about the transparency of what they're offering.
Right.
So if they're making revenue on ballooning up expense line items because there's rebates and kickbacks and other ways they're making driving revenues for themselves, I'm 100% against that. Brown Golf, when we started our company in January of 2011, it was my father, my brother Todd, and I, and we had a venture capital partner. Our venture capital partner would allow us the opportunity to go out and look for golf courses that were for sale. They would own the underlying land, and we would have long-term business leases on the golf property. Well, that business model wires you a certain way. It wires you to make the right decisions, to self-sustain. You need to understand the bottom line. And I just got away from sort of the perception of value, and actual value is what was important. And that management company world in any business can be slippery.
Sure.
Like any business,
Sure.
you just have to understand what you're receiving. You have to have strong accountability in what the management company is producing from a financial standpoint and expectations. And as long as you have that, you'll probably be safe. They can deliver great structure. I think they're very helpful in a lot of different arenas, but there's always an area to kind of work through.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's well said.
John, I have a question for you. Either by design or by chance, companies a lot of times in management areas tend to gravitate toward either high-end or municipal or private or public, but there's been a lot of change in the industry. Are you following a certain path, or have you found a certain pattern in the type of courses that like what you offer?
Great question. Brown Golf had success in sort of mid-level, semi-private daily fee golf courses that charge in the $40 to $95 range. We have a couple of private clubs as well. That was really what our portfolio was. The Great Life portfolio really branded a signature club, which was a high-end private club, and a classic club, which was really a more of a municipal daily fee course in their portfolio. And blending the two companies, we're really creating three brands. We're creating a signature brand, a premier brand, and a classic brand. Each will have different operating models. But the reality is, no two golf courses are the same, and you really do need to have different brands for different markets based on what can be achieved. And I think that's important. So, great question.
Yeah, let me follow up and say, how do you actually find your business? I mean, sure, you have a variety of public courses, maybe semi-private, private clubs. How do you find out about people that are looking for a management company? Does the property owner call you? Does the president of the board of directors of a private club call you? Does a municipality reach out to you? How do you get involved with these people?
Well, it's the old adage, as you get bigger, it gets easier, right? When you're starting out, it's impossible to really find quality leads. And now that we're getting a little bigger, we are getting more calls. I mean, we've got 3 deals going on right now. They came through 3 different forums. One was an RFP by municipality that we were introduced to. One was through a networking contact. And the other actually listened to the podcast that I do. I do a podcast called Golf Exposed, and they heard a topic that I was talking about, and they reached out, identified with it, and that was the 3rd lead. So we do source leads right now with my current role as CEO of Great Life. My focus is really to work with our executive team and then do all business development. So we're in a position now where we've got relationships with all the brokers in the marketplace, and our goal is obviously in the Great Life brand is to go and find great opportunities to be involved with, and having some capital behind you obviously helps.
Yeah.
John, question. It might be a little sensitive too. My one civic duty, and it was being serving as both chairman and vice chairman on a development of a golf course where I lived in Pennsylvania, which most likely you've heard of, Makefield Highlands. I lived in Lower Makefield in Bucks County. And what I discovered is that you get involved, as much as you try to avoid it, you have such a different blend of people that no matter what you do, you get involved in the politics of the situation in terms of there were land issues. There were issues in terms of, and one of the people who had worked in the golf industry for 20 years with a lot of renovations are saying, well, do we really need a driving range? I don't think we need a driving range. Or why do we need a chipping and putting area? And I had to fight some real battles over that because I said, if you're saying it's to serve the community, how are people going to learn if they don't have the facility to learn and to hit balls? And because of the proximity to Route 95 going right between New Jersey and PA, the driving range actually became a very profitable center. But long-winded way of going about and saying, can you sniff out in advance, or how do you deal with the politics? Because you see a lot of churn in it, because it seems like once you get involved, there may be a lot of hidden traps in terms of how you have to deal with all the problems.
Yeah.
Well, one of the clubs that's been a real success story is actually a municipal golf course outside of Philadelphia, Ladder Rock Golf Club, which is in Lower Salford Township, probably not too far away from Mayfield Highlands at all. And the political dynamic there has been great. It's people that are really invested in providing a great golf asset that's an asset to the community. I would say that they really have a true understanding, and they're flying in the same direction as far as what they want the golf course to be. I think that's the toughest part about politics. And it not only exists in the municipal world, it exists in the private club world too. When it comes to board of directors, they all have different, financial understandings, emotional attachments to golf courses, different agenda. It can be very challenging. And I would say the one thing that we as a company have really focused on is, the people across the table. Are they good people? Do they have a reasonable plan? Can we help their property be successful? And unfortunately, that political dynamic does exist out there. And sometimes it can be very counterproductive. You do have to pick your spots, So it exists in the municipal world. It exists in the private club world as well. But when you've got a great group of leaders, whether it's private club or municipal, and they understand what they're trying to achieve collectively, that's where you can get real traction.
Yeah, that's true. That's very good. John, stay with us. We're up against our first short break, and we come back, we'll have more with our special guest from Great Life Golf, Mr. John Brown. So Jamie and I are going to be back with you right after this.
Tea Time Fitness with Janice. Hi, I'm Janice Thornton, your golf fitness guru. So let's grab a foam roller because I can guarantee you this guy is going to be your best friend for your golf game. Today we're going to go through a golf stretch for your chest. So go ahead, grab your roller. I want you to lay down and just lay down lengthwise on the roller, letting your head rest on the roller. Take your arms and just gently let them out to the sides and enjoy this stretch. Keep breathing. If you want to get a little bit deeper, you can bend your arms, elbows in a little bit. You're going to get a little bit deeper stretch. So hold this stretch for a good 30 to 40 seconds, and you're going to find that you absolutely will love that stretch. Are you ready to take your golf game to the next level? Get to jtfitnessandgolf.com.
Are you an E or a C?
Both have Ridgeback.
These are loaded with tech.
Which one are you gaming? Definitely E for me.
It's just so forgiving.
I'm definitely an E.
C is for Cheka. What else?
C is for kill it.
C is me. Low spinning bombs.
So, are you an E or a C?
I don't know. Hey, wait a minute.
Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
Innovation begins at a single point. Elements, each with their unique character. Fire-forged steel creates unprecedented control. Chemistry delivers a touch so soft, combined to create a level of performance previously unimagined. Like magic, the Elixir, the new tour ball from Encore.
All right, welcome back in, everybody, to a continuation of the 19th Hole Podcast for Golfers. I'm your host, Dennis Silvers, along with my buddy, Jamie McWilliams, who's in town from beautiful Tampa, Florida, and we are talking with the CEO of Great Life Golf and more, John Brown. John, isn't John Brown probably the most common name in America?
Yes, I believe it is.
I like that.
I would like the guy had a better first name, maybe like Rock or something.
Yeah.
Brown,
I like Rock. I like Rock. No, that's good. John, how much of a free reign do you have with the owner of a golf property? When it comes to doing things policy-wise, maybe building that or building this. How often do you have to collaborate with the owner of a property to get something done?
Well, as a management company, you're really hired to run a property, and you can really manage that property to the expectation of the owners. I would say that I've built, great relationships with the owners, at least in our company to date. So I would say we have a fair amount of free reign, but operating within sort of operating control organization from a CapEx standpoint, I think is important to define early on, because obviously you can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a golf course infrastructure very easily. So I think transparency is just key, and as long as you have that, usually you can build a very good relationship.
Yeah.
A question in terms of the technical side, having traveled around and talked to lots and lots of supers, so much of what can not be right with a golf course is under the surface. Can you determine in advance what problems might be lurking or hidden there so you don't get into a no-win situation where people are always complaining about the greens, the fairways, but that's because they didn't have the right internal structure under the turf?
You can diagnose many of those issues through the due diligence process. You just need the qualified person to do it. Our director of agronomy is fantastic, and I have the utmost confidence that we can get ahead of a lot of those issues. But really, I think it's more about what are you doing from an ongoing maintenance standpoint. Are you taking soil tests? Do you have water tests? Are you getting your irrigation pumps looked at regularly? What kind of irrigation system do you have? There's so much to it. There's a ton of infrastructure. Too often, capital money gets spent in visible areas just because, you're trying to appease a group, maybe a locker room, for instance, in the clubhouse, where really, your pump house really needs that money. And so much infrastructure that's part of a golf course that needs to be taken care of. A golf course is a living, breathing animal that needs to be tendered and nurtured throughout the course of the years.
Yeah. One of the major problems here in Southern Nevada and a lot of other places in the country, John, is water. I imagine that's probably one of your biggest expenses. Are you very sensitive to that? And what do you do as a management company vis-a-vis your maintenance staff to make sure that water isn't being wasted and things like that? Because it can get expensive.
Well, I'm pretty lucky, at least in the Brown Golf portfolio. For the most part, we're not paying for water in most of our markets. We're mostly East Coast in Florida and South Carolina, North Carolina. However, the Great Life portfolio, which we just added, does pay for water in various areas. And I've looked at clubs in Nevada and Arizona, which obviously you have to factor in the water arrangements in those markets. I think it's a very big component of expense, and not only expense, but just what does the agreement say long term? That needs to be factored in when you're looking at the value of a golf course. But water management is key just in all operations, whether you're paying for water or not, in the conditions that you're producing. So often, the number one issue you might think is chemicals or ferts or equipment or human capital, and it's really water management. It's amazing how often the root of issues comes back to water management. So it's a big area of focus. Our director of agronomy has his programs in place for water management.
Right.
And the reality is, there's so many different grasses throughout the country. There's so many different climates.
Good point.
It's never two water management programs that are identical.
Good point. Very good point.
John, now as a Floridian for the last 11 years full time, one of the things that shocked me is there's so much water in Florida, but it's the most expensive utility. So is it really, really important that you find that you have that control of the situation, or could that be an absolute killer in terms of having a profitable course?
An absolute killer, just an absolute killer it can be, and do you have affluent water, or what is the water source, and type, and water is an area that, as far as your long-term agronomic health, it's the number one thing you need to understand, without a doubt. So whether that's your irrigation system, your pumps, or whether that's the source itself and the agreements around the source, it's vitally important to being successful long-term and building, frankly, self-sustaining operations that can reinvest in themselves.
Yeah. And with such a wide geographical spread now with the merger, in terms of getting the people technically and managerially, do you find that there's a regional basis to it? Like people who haven't worked in Florida, that's where you go for your talent pool. And how do you evaluate so that you have that baseline of great talent to make sure that you can get the job done?
Yeah.
That's a great question, Jamie. And there is a regional component to it, without a doubt. I mean, operating a golf course, for instance, in Pennsylvania versus operating one in Florida, the seasons, as far as the longest days of the year in Pennsylvania, that's when you're the busiest, where you're driving revenues. In Florida, your season, when you're driving the most revenue, is your shortest days of the year. When you're not driving revenue, June, July, and August, it's when everything's growing and it's your longest parts of the year. So your cash flow disparity is so much larger in Florida than in Pennsylvania. And you just have to when you look at your operation. But from a building talent, there's core fundamentals that are essential in all areas, and you just got to reinvest in your key people. And superintendents, assistant superintendents, second assistant superintendents, and mechanics, they're the lifeblood. How do you reinvest in those people? Right. Don't be afraid to pay them. A superintendent can make a $50,000 mistake in one afternoon.
Right, exactly. And you bring up a good point. How does Great Life deal with players or members from a private club, John, that might take some issue with some of the things, some of the management policies that you're trying to put in place to get those fires out?
Well, I think once everybody understands that obviously we're in business, to build a great business, which means profits, but we're also in business to add to the communities that we're in, right? And if you create a great golf course environment, which provides social interaction, which is responsible in their day-to-day operations, but also build a great long-term self-sustaining asset, which is going to improve that community and the neighborhood around that golf course, there can be real buy-in in the community. And there's a balancing act there, without a doubt. It's so fundamentally important that a golf course owner can make some money so they do have the capital to reinvest.
Sure.
And the reality is any golf course that's losing money eventually will have to make some tough decisions, and eventually it will impact the community.
Well, usually, the biggest fear for people, and Jamie knows this, that, oh my God, we've got a new management company coming in. I guess I'm going to have to be looking for a new job. How do you guys look at that when you come into a golf course that you're taking over, so to speak?
Yeah, we come in and evaluate the operation. We build out our business plan for success. Sometimes that mirrors exactly sort of the staffing model that's in place.
Right.
Sometimes there's some adjustments to that. But for the most part, we are absorbing most of the employees that are on site. They're coming into, our company and our brand. Now, obviously, once they're in, there's expectations, and we want to have the most high quality, knowledgeable people working for us so they can produce a great experience for the golfers.
Sure.
But for the most part, we adopt them, and everybody has an opportunity, to really buy into the infrastructure, the brand, and what we're trying to achieve. And we have some great success stories doing that.
I wonder if this ever happened because even after I had left and moved to Florida, I found that with the other golf course, they had gone through a couple iterations of management companies. It seems like the philosophy is that the grass is always greener. There's always the need to, they're never satisfied. Has any course ever said, something, you're right. You're the guys we should have had, and come on back because you did it right. Has anybody ever fessed up to say that you had it right the first time, but they just were lured into going with somebody else?
I would say that the clubs that like our company and our messaging have always been rooted in the type of thought process that it didn't sound too good to be true, what I was saying. It sounded realistic, right? And that's the way I approach those conversations. I don't say exactly what people want to hear. I say, what I think is the best way to build a great asset long term. And that's either going to align with, the folks in the room who are going to make that decision, or it's not. And if people are worried that, they can't book 4 tee times on a Saturday morning in a row when they only show up with 9 people usually, and they want that flexibility, if people are worried about that and that's their main issue, they're probably not really focused on what the bigger issues are at hand. So, I think our approach aligns, with people that are rooted in kind of a realistic thought process and, just believe that we probably have the most sensible way about delivering an asset long term.
Yeah. John, last question before we take our second short break. How do you separate yourself from your competition? If you are before city council on an RFP or before the board on a private club, how do you separate yourself?
I'm a golf course owner that's done it. And by we own one golf course now, but by owner, I mean we own the operations through leases, right? So we have to make them work. So the club the owners that we're talking to are usually in a position where they're looking for some fiscal improvement, right? We've proven that. They're looking for some structure and stability. We've proven that. I'm not here to develop revenue streams and provide a perception of value as a management company. I'm here to build a great business. And, we say no to opportunities because, we don't believe we can build a great business. And unfortunately, that's the nature of golf to some degree. We're probably still somewhat a little bit overbuilt. It's gotten a lot better as courses have closed. But the number of golfers and the number of courses are starting to align. Much cleaner than they have in the past. But the way we differentiate is we're folks that have done it. We're rooted in making the right business decision for the owners and, frankly, justifying and explaining those decisions.
Yeah. No, that's good, and that's what you have to do. All right, John, stand by. Jamie and I are going to take another short break. We'll come back. We'll finish up with our special guest from Great Life Golf, and they're also involved in some other aspects of business that really are golf that we're going to talk about. So stay with us. We're back right after this.
As golfers, we want instant gratification when it comes to a better golf swing and playing better golf. Impossible, you say? Not anymore. Golf Boost Artificial Intelligence, AI, has developed and patented the most advanced swing analysis technology in golf. Simply, the algorithms detect your body position and then analyze your golf swing using their artificial intelligence technology. The AI captures all the relevant data from your swing video and then presents you a personalized lesson. Golf Boost AI is the ultimate swing analysis and virtual instruction system for golfers of all ages and abilities. This sophisticated software takes into consideration your height and build, playing level, and returns the ideal solution for your swing. Bottom line, Golf Boost AI is an incredibly convenient and cost-effective tool for golfers to improve their swing. Go to golfboost.com and check it out. The app is free to download and try. Visit golfboost.com today.
All right, we are back, everybody, with more show with John Brown, our special guest, who's the CEO of Great Life Golf. And John, tell us about this booking engine platform that's proprietary to you guys called Golfback Solutions. What is it? How does it work? How does it benefit the golf courses? So on and so forth.
Sure. Back in about 2016, 17, 18, and 19, we really start to dive into the impact of our profitability when we were working with third-party aggregators like GolfNow and teeoff.com, and what the interplay to our overall green and cart fee revenue was. And I really got to the point that we did a ton of surveying, and I realized how golfers search for golf. It's atypical from the hotel industry, where a guest might not know the options in a city, right. So they go to like an Orbitz or a hotels.com to look for the options, and a menu of options is pretty common in those industries. Golfers generally know the type of course they want to play, right. Or even the local courses in a market. That became pretty clear to me. So, we heard for years and years and years from all the GolfNow reps that were in the marketplace about how you needed this network or you couldn't survive. And ultimately, I decided that I didn't need that network. And there was a couple of core principles which were non-negotiables for me as a course owner, which one was that I wanted to own my lowest price in the marketplace. Two was that I wanted to collect all of my customer data via automation.
Right.
Three was I wanted to own 100% of my online green and cart fee revenue. And four was I wanted to be the direct communicator with my customer. Those were the four sort of core principles behind Golfback. And we sent an RFP out to all the point of sale companies, the sales and marketing companies, all the companies that worked in golf. And we wanted to build a sales, marketing, and point of sales platform that guaranteed the course owner those four principles. And we couldn't find it. There wasn't the automation or integration, or frankly, I had to give on one of those principles to work with these companies. And I said, that's unacceptable. So I went down a path which I never thought I would, which was a technology path. And we built our own online proprietary booking engine because we realized the booking engine on a golf course website was the hub that you needed to control to guarantee those four principles.
Right.
And Golfback was developed. It's a proprietary booking engine which does dynamic pricing. We have weather algorithms. We have instant rewards for customers. We have daily steals for customers. We collect our customers' data. We no longer outsource the responsibility of filling our tee sheet. We build our own internal golf community. We market to our customers. And it's been an absolute home run inside the Brown Golf portfolio, which we launched in October of 2020. And then we took it outside of the Brown Golf portfolio in March of 21. And we had 76 golf courses using our online booking engine, which integrates into an email CRM tool and a website tool. And that's the platform. The platform is Golfback, and it's about driving customers direct, giving them great value, and building your own golf community as a golf course.
That is fantastic.
Well, it's
That
the old
is very
adage:
handy.
if you know what you're doing,
Right.
it's always the most profitable to do it yourself.
To do it yourself, absolutely. So tell me, John, both Jamie and I want to know, how the hell did you guys get into the fitness business?
Well, that's really more of Great Life, right? Great Life Golf and Fitness was started by Rick Ferrant it started back in the 80s, but really they got into the fitness arena in the early 2000s. And his business model was that he wanted to build a full-scale membership that promoted fitness, gyms, and golf. And that was the platform he went down. And he started converting areas of clubhouses that may have been unused into modern fitness spaces. And Rick went down that path. And I always, we've known Rick for about 8 years before this merger. I always admired how he built and grew his company. And I am very much behind the healthy lifestyle that golf provides and fitness provides. So we just had alignment there. So Rick's done a great job. That's really his baby. And we'll continue to look at opportunities at golf courses, both from what we can do from an operation standpoint, whether it's a signature club or a premier club or a classic club, but also what are the fitness opportunities there.
Along those lines, I saw on the website some bowling and other activities, Golf Plus Plus. Are these third-party relationships you build, and is this something that is going to be pursued to say it's not just about golf, but a lot more than if you have that? I'm assuming the bowling alleys are probably not your own facilities, but tell me if I'm right or wrong on that.
Yeah, well, actually, a couple of the owners of in Great Life own a couple of bowling alleys as well in the Kansas City market, and then our South Dakota affiliates own a bowling alley. I would say the bowling alley business is a to be determined for me because I've never run one, and I've only been the CEO of Great Life since September 1, but it very much intrigues me. I think there is a segment of the marketplace which obviously is looking for great social interaction and activity. I think if you can build, a neat opportunity and arena in a bowling alley that provides that it really could be something that might interface well with what we're doing with our golf courses. But I think there's a little bit of learning curve for me on that still, to be completely candid.
Well, I think it's a natural for you, John, to get involved because obviously there's a lot of golfers that look like they're bowling when they play golf, if you get my drift.
Yeah, a lot of 7-10 splits coming off T-box.
All right, before we let you go, a couple of last questions. How big do you want to get as far as the management, and what's your purpose? I know you're going down to the PGA show. Other than wanting to go to Orlando to play golf with Jamie and I, what's really your purpose in going down? What do you look for at the PGA show?
Well, the first question, I think we want to get into great situations with the right kind of people, right? I think that's really where I've gotten to in my lifetime. It's the people that you're working with, which really make what you do enjoyable. And I'm not going to add 10 or 15 clubs just to add 10 or 15 clubs. Right. I want to add the right type of abilities into the Great Life brand, which one of the three brands, will really fit, and we can really make that asset something positive in the community, something that people are proud of. So I know this: we're gonna chase the business development hard. We absolutely want to grow, but I don't have a number in mind. I want to get into great situations with great people and build something special. So I'm fairly young. I'm only 40 years old. I plan on doing this for quite a while. So I'd like to be very big. I'd like to be in the top 5 and build a company that's very special. But, I'm not chasing numbers. I'm chasing quality.
Right.
That's the answer.
You better watch out, though. You come down to Orlando enough times, you just might want to be a Floridian like me. You got to be careful.
I asked him when he's coming to Southern Nevada, when he's going to build a property in Vegas. Any plans for that, I hope?
The PGA show, the second question, is something we attend every year. It's obviously a great networking opportunity. You get to see sort of the latest in, fashion, merchandise, fitness, everything. Hopefully it's a little bit more well attended, this coming year than the previous. Still coming back out of COVID, obviously. But I enjoy the event. I actually attend the Golf Business Conference as well, which is sponsored by the National Golf Course Owners Association.
Right.
We have a 54-hole resort, Orange Lake, down there, which we're building a top tracer right now. So I'm hoping that's done because I'd like to have a really big, party at the grand opening there at our new top tracer at Orange Lake. It's just a great environment to bring, Great Life customers down to, Golfback customers down to, and just people that are, are creating movement in the industry I like to associate with, and it's a great time to do that.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're friends with Jay Karen. He's been on the show many times. He's a great, great guy, and looking forward to meeting him down at the show. Anyway, John, thank you so much for spending time. I know you're busy on the show. We wish you all the best. We do look forward, both of us, to seeing you down in Orlando and hanging out a little bit and hopefully getting out to play some golf. And I really appreciate you.
This was a lot of fun. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on. I look forward to seeing you guys in Orlando, and best of luck.
Thank you very much. All right, John. Excuse me.
I hope I didn't give it
Why
to
am
you.
I choking? John Brown is a good guy. He's got a very, very good company. All right, we're going to step away and take our last break. Then Jamie and I will come back and close the show. And right now, I think it's crunch time with Carrie.
Welcome to 1 Minute Court Time with Carrie. I am Carrie O'Rourke from Court Golf Fitness, in partnership with the 19th Hole Podcast for Golfers with Dennis Silvers, where we bring you golf tips and tricks on how to improve your game by improving your body. Let's start with a quick stretch today. You're going to take your club, wrap it over your thumb, come overhead, and with your opposite hand, add some pressure to it to increase that stretch along the side of your rib cage and your obliques. You're going to hold that for about 15 seconds on each side and do this stretch pre and post round to hit those muscles that become sore after a long day of golf. Your obliques are a part of your core that are very important to providing stability and rotation within your swing. Want to learn more about tuning your body up for golf? I'd love for you to join me in one of my online classes at coregolffitness.com or find me on Instagram and Facebook at Core Golf Fitness. Give that a try and let me know how it goes.
Hey golfers, I've been a golf talk show host for a long time, and I've been playing golf even longer. Being in golf media, I've had the chance to play every ball ever made. I've tried them all. Well, my search is finally over because I found the best ball I have ever played with, and more golfers are finding the same thing. I started playing with the Elixir golf ball made by Encore Golf. Encore Golf has revolutionized both their golf balls, the Elixir or the Avant 55, or the brand new Vero X1, to where the performance of either will simply blow you away. It did me. If you're looking for better performance and durability with your ball, Encore Golf has it. Don't just take my word for it. Check them out at encoregolf.com and you'll become convinced, as I am, the first time you tee it up with Encore. It's the best performing ball for the price. Go to encoregolf.com and see for yourself. Your scores will love you for it. That's ONCORE golf.com. All right, everybody, welcome back. And Jamie, before we close, I want to thank you coming out to Las Vegas. We had a chance to play a little golf. We're going to play a little more, hopefully, before you go back. And hope you get that throat thing taken care of.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. And we look forward to going down and being together at the PGA show and hooking up with John and a lot of other people. Yep. And we're going to get some segments for the show that we co-host, Senior Delinquents.
Yes.
Go to seniordelinquents.com. Check it out. It's funny as hell. He does a great job in post-production, and it's good.
And we are going to talk about football too.
And we're going to talk about football.
So we're going to look at the spectrum of football and how things have changed, especially when it comes to equipment and injuries and some of the things you see now, like players playing in basically shorts. What happened to pads? Are they going to be all gone except for the helmet?
No, we're gonna do a show on that. It's going to be great. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the 19th Hole Podcast for golfers. For Jamie, I'm Dennis Silvers, and remember, keep it in the short stuff. Try to get out and play some golf. We'll see you back same time, same place next week. So long, everybody.